Hello one all, it's Review My Hero Academia, Chapter 86, The Ones Within Us. And Deku, I'm sorry, but you are not a good listener. Your best friend in the whole wide world sacrifices himself to save you, with his dying words, being, stop trying to win this on your own. And your response to that is, hey, I wonder if I can catch the enemy's attack in my teeth. Bad Deku! Bad Deku! I mean, seriously, Bakugo, you're trying to convince him to, stop trying to do everything by himself, and all you made him do is want to do this by himself more, as his face is contorted and twisted into this monstrous monster, more or less. I mean, seriously, he looks like he should be the villain of this series. Or at least that's what I thought until we got this next shot of Shigaraki, as his skin is burned, he's missing an eye, parts of his skin are starting to regrow slowly, and just to make it a little bit extra more terrifying, in the cut in his face, we see the face of All For One peeking through, like something straight out of a horror movie. Seriously, I think I've seen this horror movie. I gotta say though, I am glad they really, emphasized the horror factor with the burned and scarred Shigaraki. I was a little disappointed last week when we barely saw his burned face. I mean, I don't want to see, body horror, but if you're gonna burn someone, freaking show it, man. Vigilante did something similar a few weeks back, and honestly, it probably looked more disturbed than this does. Anyway, then Deku's plan of going in full rage mode royally backfires, as Shigaraki finally managed to get a hand on him, which should, instantly kill him and steal his quirks. But that does not seem to be the case. I'm guessing it doesn't work on Deku because, all of his quirks have a soul attached to them, their own will, their own personality, their own being. So instead, we're basically going to end up with a tug-of-war match. The spirits within One For All versus Shigaraki and All For One. And quite frankly, I don't think Deku is going to fully win this fight. I mean, Nana Shimura's here saying that let us handle us, so I'm thinking, she's be backed up by probably some of the other users of One For All, definitely, Funky Black Whip, as well as the fourth user, whoever he is, it's a big mystery, and then we saw one other guy kind of with a high collar. I don't think we're going to see the second and third user, because Deku still hasn't seen them, so I think he hasn't synchronized enough with their spirits to be able to draw them out here. So yeah, anyway, like I said, I think it's going to be a tug-of-war, and I think Deku is going to lose Nana Shimura. I think he's going to lose her spirit, her quirk, her abilities, all of that. And I think for a few reasons. First off, imagine Deku having to tell All Might that not only did he get Gran Torino basically killed, but that he also lost the soul of All Might's teacher. Yeah, I think that'd be more painful for him than watching Bakugo get stabbed in the spine. Secondly, oh please, just for a minute, imagine Shigaraki having the voices of All For One and his grandmother inside his head. Don't get me wrong, I am under no delusion this is actually going to change anything. This is actually going to make him a better person, convince him to not be evil, but just the back and forth, the symbolism of both them in his head, trying to push him down one path or the other would be absolutely amazing to see, and I love that. And thirdly, there's the problem that the float quirk is way too overpowered against Shigaraki. It basically let Deku fight him by himself, and that just made the situation a whole lot worse. If Deku, had been teamed up with Uraraka, Bakugo, Shoto, someone else as his legs so that he could fly through the air for this fight, it'd be a much different encounter, and he might not have, gotten grabbed like he did. So hopefully, when he loses the float quirk, he has to rely on them more in the big fight against Shigaraki next time. However, I am going to say I think the big final fight, well, after, Deku and his classmates fight Shigaraki, is going to be inside the quirk realm. Nana says, you can't move in this world yet, which does seem to imply that even though he's more fully complete than he was last time, he still isn't synchronized enough with One For All to be able to completely move in this realm, and by the end of the series, he will be. And hopefully they give him some pants, or this is going to be a very, very awkward fight. And so it's going to be Deku versus Shigaraki inside the quirk realm, continuing the tug-of-war match, trying to get the spirits the other one has. Probably see the whole thing of, oh, Deku lost all the spirits, he's lost, no! Then his fighting spirit will build back up, and he'll be able to win the fight somehow, some way. Stealing all the spirits, and All For One. Though, what's going to happen when One For All and All For One are, within the same vessel, the same being, especially one that isn't, genetically modified to be able to accept it? That's That's a whole other can of worms right there. I figure Deku will either evolve into a god or immediately explode and die. Very, very curious about that, but yeah. Final fight's definitely be in the quirk realm. Anyway, rest of the chapter. Big props to Shoto for managing to catch both his father and Bakugo before they fell to their deaths. Yes, they're both unconscious. Yes, they're both heavily wounded, but I'm fairly certain that fall would have been what killed them. Also, it's definitely looking like Bakugo got hit in the spine here, so I'm still going to say, Bakugo's going to lose the use of his legs moving forward. I'm very excited to see how that works, especially since it seems like Deku is going to lose the use of his arms. Together, they're going to make one full hero. We then flash over to Giganto literally destroying everything in his path. I mean, seriously, it's going to take them a very long time to rebuild everything destroyed. It might be better for them just, start from scratch, demolish the whole city and start building something new, something a little more quirk-friendly. Maybe a city that can, go underground so that when giant villains come rampaging through, they can just duck beneath the surface for a few hours. Probably not, but that would certainly be useful right about now. And he says something very interesting. Master's scent. I smell two. So essentially he's smelling both Shigaraki and All For One within Shigaraki's body. So does that mean, later on we see, All For One basically sticking out of Shigaraki like a parasite. Which does raise the question, is All For One actually, trying to raise up Shigaraki to be, the symbol of destruction and all that? Or is he attempting to turn him into his vessel? Is he essentially attempting to take control over his body? And the fact that Giganto can smell, it means he smells his master coming out, taking control, getting more and more of the body for himself? I'm not sure about that. Then we get the rest of Class 1A, 1B, and everyone else trying to evacuate people as best they can before, the literal embodiment of death and destruction comes and tramples them to death. Other than the other embodiment of death and destruction that is currently fighting Deku. Then we get a very poignant, well-said line from Uraraka. Ever since then, it's like the days are longer and the shadows have grown. That's very well said. Very impressive. Joes have a good point. Ever since the first battle against League Villains, things have just kept getting worse time and time again. And things need to change, and she's really sick of standing on the sidelines being utterly helpless. She wants to, be in the fight. She wants to be fighting side by side with Deku here. She wants to protect her friends. And I really, truly hope we see that moving forward. I said last week that I think, after Deku does all of this, he's going to be very, very depressed and sad and lonely and still trying to do everything by himself. And hopefully she'll be the one that convinces him otherwise, convinces him that, they need to work as a team and together they can defeat anyone, even Shigaraki. Also, it's already been confirmed that Uraraka's quirk is utterly, utterly terrifying when used correctly. We saw Toga used it to basically become a god of death, so if she starts getting really serious, there is no limit to how useful she can be in battle. Especially since, Deku needs to stay off the ground when he's fighting Shigaraki. Having her lending him a hand for that would be very, very useful. Anyway, like I said, my prediction for next week is the other users of One For All are going to be fighting against Shigaraki and All For One. I definitely don't think the second and third users are going to show up simply because Deku hasn't synchronized enough with them. He hasn't seen enough of them to really call them out. Fourth user is definitely going to show up and hopefully get some answers on why All Might wanted to keep him a secret. Is there something with his quirk? Is there something with his past? Is he Deku's grandfather? Is he Deku from the past after he traveled to the future? What's going on with that? Fifth user is Banjo, Funky Black Whip. The sixth user is the one with the high collar. No idea what he's about. And then essentially they'll all be fighting against Shigaraki. And like I said, I think he's going to lose Nana Shimura for a whole lot of reasons. And but then somehow, some way, he'll manage to escape. He'll manage to survive, to leave the quirk realm. Shoto was there when Deku got touched, and unless they're moving at the speed of light inside the quirk realm, I feel like some time is gonna elapse in the outside world while this is happening. So I feel like he's gonna just watch okay, why are they just kind of floating there in the air and not moving? I should probably do something here, and then he's gonna use his flames or ice to save Deku to get him away from Shigaraki. At which point, I'm guessing All For One's gonna take control and convince him to flee, to leave, to go into hiding so that he can, better master his quirk. So when he comes back next time, he has full control over it, full knowledge of all the quirks at his disposal, and he's able to, wipe the floor with Deku. At least those are my thoughts. Let me think all down below. What do you think's gonna happen inside the quirk realm? What do you think Uraraka's gonna do? And how do you think All Might's going to react to finding out that Deku lost the soul of his teacher? I feel like that's going to hurt. I feel like that's going to hurt quite a bit. But let me know all this down below. Be sure to like, subscribe, like the video. And until then, peace!